thought it might be a fun video to talk about a professional sound and a student sound and what is the difference. I think for a student, if you're really craving that sound, you know, like you're wondering, why do I not sound as good as, you know, so and so, you might consider some of these things. So I may go ahead and do a follow-up video. I'm not sure how many examples I will give today, but I'll definitely tell you, you know, my first list. Of course, there might be more, but so far, this is the list that I have created myself. So if there's anything I'm missing, I'd love for you to comment down below and see what you think. If there's something important that I missed, but I'm sure there are. And if so, I'll make a second video later on, and perhaps I can show you some more you know, contrasting, like, you know, what the differences are. I can demonstrate it for you. But first thing is that comes to mind is that students generally may not know how to sustain to the tip. Okay, so it's kind of like if you're playing a scale, right? So every down bow, is fading because you know, maybe you just haven't thought about it yet that the bow is heavier at the frog and lighter at the tip, so we have to actually do something to compensate. This is the reason why I like to do so much sevchik with my students, because it makes them really realize what they're, you know, doing with their bow, you know. And we also talk about highways and, you know, tone colors and things a lot. So I have several videos on that. You can go ahead and take a look at that, like tone color variation, 3 elements of tone production, and things like that. So typically I'm seeing a lot of, you know, this like fading sound, and sometimes there's a crescendo going to the frog. So if you hear that, you know, so and so is playing this melody and it sounds so beautiful and singing, but yours sounds a bit, you know, uninteresting or a bit kind of choppy, that could be why. Again, it's just could be a lot of things. So, but this is one of the things that it could be. Second thing is vibrato. So, of course, a lot of things are different with regard to vibrato, like the quality of it and things. But let's just talk about just continuing the vibrato. So a sustained vibrato. What is the most coveted type of vibrato, even among professionals, is for you to keep the vibrato going even when changing fingers. So it means, like, for example, I'm doing this one, all right, and then I drop the next finger, and there should be absolutely no interruption in this, you know, oscillation. So, you know, whether you drop a finger or lift a finger, this vibrato, like the shaking motion, is not in any way interrupted. I can keep my vibrato going, but if I were to really look at it, you know, and slow it down and check it out, I'm pretty sure there's an interruption in there, but it's not obvious. So here's an obvious example. See how disjointed that sounds? So there are many degrees of this. You know, some people do it very briefly. Some people do it for a very long time. So they'll just shake in the middle, right? So you'll play a note and then, right? So that doesn't sound, you know, very good. Third thing is also regarding vibrato. There's no variation. Okay, so the you know, way we shake, right, it sounds the same every single time. And so it's kind of, it's a little bit funny if you think about it, because you might get to a very peaceful moment, right? For example, the Mendelssohn, you know, concerto. Right, so you might play that. I think I also did something not quite right there. I think my vibrato is a little bit too espressivo. So I think that section needs to be a bit more peaceful, right? So it'd be funny if we played it with a very, you know, very fast and, you know, fast and wide, even fast and narrow. fast and wide. It's way too much. So it's a little bit comical if you think about it. But anyway, I hope you can, think about that and see, I'm in this section, right, of the piece. So should it be calm and peaceful, or should it be intense? Should it be sad, right? There's every different, level of intensity. And so sometimes we need to match it up with a wide vibrato, but slow, right? Or maybe we need a narrow and then a fast vibrato, or maybe we need a medium and a medium, or every type. So that's another thing. So professionals know how to think about what mood they're creating, or what style they're creating, what type of energy they're creating, and it just naturally comes out of our vibrato and our bow sound and things like that. The fourth one, tempo and beat. This is a very basic thing. That I did a little experiment one time where I wasn't sure what to do, with my performance. I don't remember what I was playing, maybe a Beethoven sonata or something. And I was trying to put so much expression and shaping and things, phrasing into it, and it just wasn't. I wasn't satisfied. And my pianist and I decided, well, let's just play it straight. So we just played it very straight. We just obeyed what was on the page, and we played the rhythms more accurately, and we played the the notes and the dynamics and the articulations more accurately, and it just came to life. This often happens, especially with classical music like Mozart, Haydn, Beethoven, things like that. It often happens quite a bit in that situation. So what I learned when I was in the San Francisco Symphony Youth Orchestra was that I thought I was playing the rhythms correctly, and it was brutal. We would have sectional rehearsals with a San Francisco Symphony member very regularly for like at least an hour or so, or two, every Saturday or every other Saturday or whatnot. And it was so brutal because she just kept on telling us that our rhythm is incorrect. And the more, it's like intonation, the more you listen to the correct and more precise rhythm, the more you realize that you were not quite accurate before. But until you have that, you think you're doing it right. It's one of those funny things. So just playing a very steady beat. So unfortunately, you're going to have to get your metronome out and just check yourself against the metronome, and then turn the metronome off after you've worked on it quite a bit. Then you turn it off, and then you see, how it sounds if you can keep it steady. And after you do that several times, then you turn it back on and see if you got off again or if you're pretty on. So that's a good indication of whether or not you were pretty, accurate when you had turned it off, in the middle stage. And then so when you turn it back on, then you can kind of check yourself. I hope that makes sense. Number 4, or no, that was number 4. Number 5 is intonation. Even professionals, even we all struggle with intonation. Even the most famous artists struggle with intonation from time to time. But professionals who are not like the, top of the top of the top struggle with intonation to different levels, to different degrees. But, it's how vigilant are you? How much are you, do you care about pitch? Okay, so if you don't regularly work on your intonation. So I just found out that the camera stopped recording right in the middle of my list, even though I went all the way to the end. So I'm going to stop the video here, and I will do a part 2, because right now I have 8 items for the list, and I think I got through 4 of them. So so stay tuned for the next part, and then that might be good actually, because then I can if you have any feedback or any thoughts, that would be very interesting to hear. And and then I'll go ahead and create the part 2 on a later date. All right. Hope you have a great day.